Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and today I'm doing another Fatal Friday video. And Fatal Friday is the series I do where I go into the Kombat League for Mortal Kombat 1, and I try to get the unique finishers for the main roster and cameo fighters. Today I'm sending Tanya into the Kombat League so she can go ahead and kick her opponents into orbit. In other words, I am going for her Brutality Rest in Pieces, which is the Brutality version of her throw. And whenever that brutality is executed, what Tanya will do is roll onto her back, kick her opponent way into the air far beyond your view, and a couple of seconds later, that opponent will come crashing into the ground at terminal velocity. I'm sure you can already kind of picture in your head what that's going to look like, but don't worry, you're not going to have to rely on that picture for too long because you are going to get to see it here today. And alongside Tanya, as per the usual, is going to be the cameo Sonyablade. Whenever I was getting all of Tanya's finishers, that was my preferred cameo for her to use. In fact, I don't think I used anyone else with Tanya. Although I did consider using Goro for a little while, that just did not end up happening. And my randomly selected opponent that is going against me today in the Kombat League, well, they are somebody who must be a very big Lin Kuei enthusiast. The reason I say that is they are going to be using Sub-Zero against me. And while they do not just stick to a single cameo throughout the entire fight, the two cameos they use are Cyrax and Sektor, both of which are also Lin Kuei members alongside Sub-Zero. If this person using Sub-Zero ends up picking up any victories against me here today, and if then Sub-Zero ends up shouting for the Lin Kuei, like he normally does whenever he gets a victory, well, this time around it's not just Sub-Zero doing his default statement. This time around he means it, damn it, because he is bringing the entire Lin Kuei squad to this fight. If anything, all of this representation by the Lin Kuei is making me feel like perhaps I did not represent the Outworld royalty enough in this fight. I mean, sure, I have Tanya, but I have her paired up with Sonya, and Sonya doesn't have anything to do with Outworld. So it seems like maybe I should have done the same thing, alternating between Motaro and Goro. Then suddenly we have just as much Outworld representation as they do with the Lin Kuei. Granted, I have no idea what I would be doing with Motaro in this fight, and I would probably lose. Although, I might be able to pull something off with Goro. It wouldn't look pretty though, I'd definitely be fumbling my way to victory if I ended up pulling it off.
That was your last mistake.
Brutality! Tanya wins.
And that was the Rest in Pieces Brutality for Tanya. And as advertised, she kicked her opponent with enough force to send them into the stratosphere. And then they came rocketing down at terminal velocity until they were reduced to nothing but a pile of goo on the ground. So yeah, we are off to a good start in this set. Ultimately, that was made possible by the fact that Sub-Zero went for his slide, which I blocked, super punishable, and then I just went for the throw. And yeah, well, the rest is history. And I am up 1-0. I will say this Sub-Zero individual does use that slide quite a bit in the previous match and in this current match. I don't know if they do it enough times to warrant me doing a counter, something I normally reserve for whenever a person just does something an egregiously high amount of times. But maybe I'll go back and count it up and see if it qualifies. I tend to like to only do that if a person hits double digits with the same move. Oh, and as the last match ended, my opponent went ahead and made a switch. Originally they were using the cameo Cyrax. After that first loss, they went ahead and switched it over to Sektor. Which, that is the character that is on his combat card, so he's probably the most familiar with Sektor as opposed to Cyrax. So at this point, I may be getting this person at their very best. We shall see. At the moment, though, I find myself in an advantageous situation because I won the very first round of this second match, which means I only need one more round to close everything out. And at the very end of that previous round, Sub-Zero ended up using his fatal blow, which I blocked and then punished. And then he was forced to use his meter for breaker. And as a result, he started this second round with 0 bars of meter. Although he has managed to accumulate a few throughout the remainder of this round. In fact, he just used a bar of meter very recently to go ahead and hit me with a mid-ice ball. So even though he was low on resources, Sub-Zero is starting to kind of make something of a comeback here. Until he did that slide anyway, which I managed to punish, and I got a little bit of damage. Unfortunately, I didn't have any bars of meter myself, so I couldn't really extend that. Had I had the meter, this match might have been over. Instead, Sub-Zero is still very much alive in this thing because we were both below 30% health and kind of just chucking projectiles at each other. And scratch that. Sub-Zero went ahead and said, nah, I'm done with the projectiles. I'm going to go ahead and go for that slide and just end the round. So yeah, it turns out that slide that I said I remembered him doing quite a bit, well, that's exactly what he used to put me away. And now things are suddenly much more interesting because we now find ourselves in a third and final round to determine who will end up winning this match. That is a little bit of a bummer for me. I thought I was going to get a clean sweep there for a moment, but that's alright. With there being one more round, that means there's one more opportunity for me to go ahead and get the Rest in Pieces Brutality for a second time. So yeah, let's not look at this thing as a negative, let's look at this thing as an opportunity. We're going to get to double down on that Brutality if everything lines up just right. And as you can tell, we kind of went back to just throwing projectiles at each other like we did the last time our round was almost over. Only eventually he has enough of that and goes ahead and closes the distance and goes for a bunch of low kick combos. So realizing I was screwing up, I just went ahead and armored my way out of that, and well,
That was your last mistake.
Brutality. Tanya wins.
after cutting things way too close by eating a bunch of low kicks and then eventually armoring my way out of it on 2 consecutive occasions, we end up getting the Rest in Pieces Brutality for a second time. Considering how the very first match went, I did not think the second one was going to end up being that close, but you know what? It made things interesting in the end. But yeah, with the Rest in Pieces Brutality out of the way, there's really not too much more to say. Just know that you'll get to check it out one more time at the very end of the outro. But yes, if you ended up enjoying that Brutality, just know that there are plenty of other finisher videos on my Thor's Entertainment channel. They are under the Mortal Kombat 1 online playlist, so go ahead and check that thing out if it interests you. Other than that though, I also have some playthroughs of the story modes for Mortal Kombat, so there's also that for you to check out if you're really into the Mortal Kombat stuff. But yeah, that is going to do it for me today. Again, thank you for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it, take care, and I'll see you next time.
That was your last mistake.
Brutality. Tanya wins.